Rahimi here, hosting today. In fact, there's no host.
just two man chatting. Like
just two of us chatting. It's me and Joel. You get me? We're here today. Here to talk about some football. You know, there's been some good fixtures this weekend, both domestically and internationally.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through both of those. I think we should start with Arsenal today.
Arsenal 2, Liverpool 2 at the Emirates. I mean, overall, it wasn't a great game for like the neutral. But to be honest, I've been on the quality of big games in the Prem for like the last few years. Like, there's not been really many like really good games between the top teams in the Prem. It's been quite cagey, like attritional, bare like set piece goals, or like it's just not great watching it. But especially for today, there was a lack of quality, I think, on both sides, really. Arsenal, because of injury, like, there's still no Odegaard in the team. And Saka was really good, but he just come back to fitness. But also Liverpool, I was quite disappointed with Liverpool, to be honest. Like, I think Arsenal, we knew what our problems were in terms of suspensions and injuries and, like, will this guy be fit? Will this guy be fit? But I feel like Liverpool, it was there for the taking sort of thing where, like, if you wanted to put a statement out that, like, you're ready to win the league, like, you'd go to the Emirates, you'd get the 3 points. I feel like on the balance of play, a draw was a fair result. And I think, even though I'm disappointed because I wanted to cut the gap with City, the gap is quite high between City and Liverpool as well. I think Liverpool will be the more disappointed team because they'll be going on thinking we could have maybe won that one, and that might haunt them at the end of the season. We don't know at the moment, but for me, it just showed me that I think there's still a little bit more for Liverpool to do to really be considered like genuine title challengers, title winners, like with City and Arsenal with the top two at the moment. But in terms of the game itself, I was happy with Arsenal's performance in the first half. I think we dominated in the first half. We played really well, particularly, the last like 15 minutes of the first half. I think we were all over them. We dominated the midfield. We had possession and we were dominating the attacks. We got our goal. I think we deserved to go in front at half-time. Second half was so bad. Like, I can't believe the drop-off. Like, I'm scratching my head. Like, I don't know what happened really with the players in that second half. I don't know if it's because of injuries when Gabriel came off, but even before that, like, Liverpool started to dominate the midfields. They start to get Curtis Jones on the ball more. Salah was picking up wide positions, quite free running at our fullbacks. Like, I don't know what happened, and it's quite worrying because like things haven't been too good with Arsenal this season. Something's not quite right with Arsenal at the moment, and whether it's injury or suspension, just the general way we're playing games, we're not controlling games as much as we were last season, and we're giving lots of chances away and lots of possession away to other teams. And like today was another example. So Liverpool, they deserve to get their equaliser because on the balance of the second half, they were the better team.
They were. So
for us to go and win the game 2-1 would have been like a bit of a robbery, kind of, because like the way they played in that second half, they deserved it.
One thing I would say though is it's a bit annoying. The Arsenal style of play, the way that it's developed over the last few years, I think it's regressed a little bit. And when I say that, I mean in terms of you guys used to attack relentlessly and tried to proactively win the game. I know you were playing Liverpool today, of course, a big team within their own right, but you are at home. You did have injuries, but I feel like under Arteta's I'd say the first time Arsenal really challenged for the league when you guys finished second. I think you got 85 points, or you got a large points tally. You guys really went for all the games that you played in. You tried to create multiple chances and you tried to score and you tried to win. Yeah. I feel like more recently it's gone to sort of a defensive type of structure.
It definitely has.
You sort of give the attacking impetus to the opponents and then you try and rely on your defensive attributes to win. And I just prefer it if Arsenal continue to press on and try to win the game, because you guys had Liverpool on ropes. I'd say for the first half, it was domination. We were saying in our group chat that it was complete. Like, I couldn't believe that Liverpool would come there and actually like it was poor from Liverpool for the first 45 minutes. Definitely. And Arsenal were excellent for that first 45 minutes, and you were attacking them and you were trying to score. But in the second half, you gave them the initiative, and then I think at the end, the possession stats, I think Liverpool had 54% possession in comparison to Arsenal. You guys are at home. You guys should have the impetus, and you guys should be going for the win. So that was a bit concerning for me. But
I understand that, and I understand. There's people out there that say, Arsenal played better football 2 years ago when we first started challenging for the title. We were more on the front foot, as you say. We were playing prettier football on the eye, attacking football. It coincided when Jesus had knees, like you could actually move the ball around, like the formation. It was a strong team, innit? But it did have its weaknesses. And one of those weaknesses, which is kind of creeping back in, is that we weren't able to control what's known as game state for the whole game. So there was always a period in the middle of the matches that we played where we lost control of the game and we didn't have enough like steel in midfield and in defence to basically to stop the tide from going against us and to stop momentum against us. Yeah. So Arteta's a guy who learns from his mistakes and says, okay, this didn't work. How can I improve it? If this player is not working, how can I improve this player? Can I move him on? Can I get another player? And the style of play is no different as well. So he recognised at the end of that season that we're quite weak in midfield and in defense when it comes to duels and when it comes to like the tide of matches, particularly away from home, where there'll be a period where the opposition are just onto us. So then he started to turn it the other way and trying to be more resilient, trying to win all your duels, trying to be physical, trying to be tough, and trying to be strong from set pieces. Because you can win matches that way, and you can win leagues that way, in my opinion.
You can.
But there are some people who fairly say that we've gone too far that way, the Mourinho way, like the George Graham way, if you like, and there's not enough like Wenger ball, not enough like good football, pretty patterns of play. Again, we've had injuries, but the midfield we played today, I mean, it's Trossard, Mourinho, and Rice. Like, there's no drip in that. That's not a drippy midfield. There's no playmakers in there. Yeah, you know what I mean? There's no one that's gonna like create loads of chances. Yeah. I mean, we have to see what the full team is. I'd like to see Nwaneri get more minutes because I think that can solve the problem as well. And when he came on, he did all right. He took care of the ball. Yeah. But yeah, it is a fair argument to say that Arsenal aren't as pretty, and you know, it's particularly in these games, we're not really taking the game to our position. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but we've had a lot of games of 10 men where we haven't been able to do that this season. Yeah. So it's quite hard with 10 men to do that, particularly against City. Like I'd have loved to see us in the second half try and get a third goal against City if we had 11v11. With Liverpool, again, injuries have disrupted us, but I can't put my finger on why we gave them the initiative so much. It's quite disappointing. It's quite worrying. Yeah. Beyond the result, it's worrying how we've given them the initiative in this match, because what does that mean in future games? We've got Newcastle away and then Chelsea the week after that. Mm-hmm. If that sort of pattern continues, we're not going to get 6 out of 6, and we need 6 out of 6. So.
You definitely do. I think the next 2 games are crucial for Arsenal.
They're key.
You have to win both.
I think.
Yeah, it's got to that point.
You don't want to be like 7, 8 points behind City. I'm not really looking at Liverpool. Liverpool are top in it, I think. Yeah. But I'm not looking at Liverpool. I'm looking at City, really. Yeah. You don't want to be, 6, 7, 8 points heading into Christmas, because it's hard to make that up, and like we haven't been able to do that so far as a team. So
that's typically when City take off as well.
Exactly,
because they have such a massive squad,
and they have injuries, bro. Kevin De Bruyne has not been around. Like when he comes back, like if they're like,
there'll be problems.
It's problems.
I think the draw today wasn't a good result for either of you. It would have been better.
Who do you think was better for like
the
draw? Like
the draw.
Yeah. Would you say Liverpool because they're the gap, or?
I think given the circumstances, Arsenal, because you guys have so many injuries, and something that I've been seeing quite a lot is people are saying that Liverpool have sort of overcome Arsenal, like they're better than Arsenal and are more likely to challenge. And I think that's we're jumping the gun a bit there. I think Liverpool are a very good side. However, Arsenal are still, for me, in pole position to challenge City. And Arsenal had so many injuries, and obviously suspension to Saliba as well, but so many injuries today. And Arsenal still, I'd say on the balance of play, looks the better team for me. Like that first 45 minutes was unbelievable.
It was great.
Like it was unbelievable. Like you guys you suffocated them. Yeah. Timber was excellent against Salah. It was a very good, solid performance. And you guys went in at the halftime up, which was deserved. But then you just gave Liverpool the impetus again, which is annoying. But in terms of some of the key points in the game, what do we think about Andy Robertson? Because that might be retirement level.
Andy Robertson might be cooked at the highest level, boy. Because I know Saka's he's a tough player to come up against for any left back in the world, really. But the way he had Robertson on skates all game was so bad. Like even at half time, Carragher saying get him off, get on Gomez. Like Gomez isn't even an amazing defender, but if you're thinking that's an upgrade in like 1v1 defending to Robertson, thing is Robertson's had a great Prem career. He has. He's won a Premier League title, he's won a Champions League. Like he's got so many assists, so many like great moments defensively, but. There comes a time as a defender where I'm past my best, innit? Yeah. And it's usually when you get cooked by like a tricky winger or a striker. Like this might have been the day where Robertson might look in the mirror tonight and be like, I might be cooked. Like this might be it for him. And they might. I know Conor Bradley had a good like period of time last season. I don't know if he's injured or suspended, but if he's available, he may look to like take over that mantle of left back, or Liverpool might need a new left back, because some of the stuff Saka was there and saying today, I'll be real. Like, I felt sorry for De Bruyne. Like, I was like, I feel sorry for you as a fullback. Like you're getting cooked.
Yeah, and what was mad as well is that you could see clearly that Saka wasn't 100% fit,
and he weren't 100% fit.
Yeah, so that's even more of a concern to me. Because, and it's something that we could touch on as well. But Saka's excellence, I feel like Arsenal are so lucky to have him. I know I always say this, but the guy has given 110% again today. He's clearly injured. They've probably pumped him up with morphine for the last week or so to get him ready and get him fit for this fixture. Yeah. And he's produced again. He scored again in another big game.
And it was a great goal. Like, but the thing is, like, rival fans, they like to talk down on Saka. It's always comparing him to other players. Like, if it's Lamine Yamal or if it's like Cole Palmer, whoever it is, Foden. Like, but I think we're lucky to have Saka, and I feel that opposition fans can see that at least what Saka does on the pitch, like he is effective. He is trying to get goals and assists, and he is trying to carry this team. He's the captain now when Odegaard's not around. And that goal he scored today, like it's quality. It's quality, and that's what he's capable of. He can beat his defender, and he can hit shots with power and hit into the roof of the net. So I feel like Saka doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. He's one of the best right wingers in the world. Yeah. We know as Arsenal fans what he's good at. We know his level. We don't need to prove to rival fans, oh, he's better than your guy. He's better than your guy. Just watch him and see what he's been doing this season, and he's doing it.
Yeah, I agree. He's an excellent player. But yeah, that's Liverpool and Arsenal. Moving on to I don't even want
to Man United. Hey, it's been out because first of all, I heard you haven't won in Europe for a year.
You're correct.
Yeah, so you drew Fenerbahce the other day.
Yep.
I saw bits of that game. Like you guys were all right in the game. Like
we were. I don't think we were good. I don't think
you were okay. You were okay. Like, but a draw was a fair result. Yep. Coming now to West Ham, you probably didn't have high hopes. Like
I didn't, but West Ham are horrendous right now.
Yeah, they are.
And West Ham are worse than United, which is what's crazy. But how can I say that? We've just lost 2-1 to them. So I can't even say that West Ham are worse than us. They've just beaten us. That game as a whole is one of the most frustrating things to watch as a United fan. I think any fan watching their team squander that many chances and then lose in the fashion that we did, that's pain. Like that's a real pain. I've never felt more detached to a United side before in my life. This is like that. I'm at the breaking point. Even the way I'm stuttering, I'm at breaking point. We had, I'd say, 6 to 7 clear-cut chances in that first half. Missed all of them. Came out in the second half, looked tired and like we didn't want to win anymore. West Ham have come on to us. They've scored a goal which was deserved on the balance of play in that second half. We got back into it with Casemiro, and then the penalty at the end, which again, I'm not blaming the refs. I don't care if it was a penalty or not. That's irrelevant to me. We had 6 or 7 chances in that first half and we missed all of them. Dalot went past the keeper and skied the ball. Højlund had a chance where he cut it back. Don't know why he could have slapped it. Cut it back, his keeper saved it. Rashford's gone in one-on-one. The ball's got stuck under his feet. Garnacho's hit the bar from inside the box when he could have just put it in the corner. He's then had another chance 2 minutes later where he's put the ball wide. Bruno's had a header from 5 yards out with no pressure around him, and he's put the ball into row Z. You can't legislate for any of those misses. Partly the manager, of course. He has to take the blame for us losing to West Ham. But those players today were an absolute disgrace, in my opinion. And
wow, that's strong words, though. Strong words for the players. Saying this disgrace. Like.
The attackers, more specifically. The defenders, you're going to concede chances in a game. It happens to everyone.
So talk to me about these attackers. So like Højlund, Xerxes, Rashford, Garnacho. Like, what do you make of that crop of attackers? Like, what level are they playing below their level, or is this how good they? Is this the level they are? Like?
They are definitely playing below their level. I can explain why, but in terms of playing below their level, let me touch on that first. Bruno Fernandes, when he first came to this league, was one of the most creative specimens in the league that the league has seen, like consistently. He did it for 4 years straight. How has his level dipped this much in the last, I'd say, 12 to 24 months? He hasn't been good for a very long time. Like, he hasn't been on the level that he should be. Marcus Rashford scored 30 goals 2 years ago. Before that, he had seasons where he scored, I think it was 21, 24. He's had good seasons in the build-up to that. He's been hot and cold, of course, but he's shown me on a consistent level that he can score over 20 goals in a campaign, right? How has he lost all his finishing ability? Like, there's certain things that I can't explain in terms of what is happening because we're getting the chances. Yeah. If we weren't getting the chances, that's a different question in terms of creativity. We are getting these chances and we're not putting them away. And I think what was an indictment for me was watching the Champions League during the week and then watching the El Clasico, which we're gonna go on to later. The quality of attacking talent, for example, at Barcelona and Madrid. So Madrid midweek in the Champions League, they turned that game around in a 10-minute spell because their level of attackers is unparalleled to United's. They're on a different level completely. Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, who I don't even think was playing, Bellingham. They've got players that can turn it on in an instant. You look at Barcelona's attack, Yamal, Rafinha and Lewandowski, they're killers. They're genuine. If you look at their statistics this season, Flick has turned those three into the highest level of attackers and they're performing the way that they should. I look at them and then I look at United's crop of attacking talent. It is night and day. It's horrible to watch. But yeah, what do you think of United's talent? From an opposition fan, I want to know what you think of United's attacking talent.
Like, United just don't scare me. Like, the talent at the top of the pitch just doesn't scare me. Like, Rashford on his day can put fear into defenders, and you know, as an opposition, like especially as an Arsenal fan, he has a good record against us. But like, Bruno's not the type of midfielder where I'm worried he's gonna pull strings for 90 minutes. You know, create loads of chances, get loads of assists, expected goals, expected assists, and stuff like that. For me, Bruno's quite a wasteful passer. Like, he's a risky passer. So the possession, like the completion stats won't be the highest, but you know, through pure volume, he's just trying to, you know, really find like risky passes, and sometimes they don't come off.
Yeah.
I think Højlund as a striker, I mean, like a year ago or so, when he was in Italy, I wanted Højlund as an Arsenal fan. I thought we could turn him into a world-beaten striker at the time when there weren't really many strikers in the market. But I just don't think he's going to make it to that level. I don't think Højlund's going to make it to like top 5 striker in the world class level, and neither will Xerxes. Maybe it's Man United. Maybe there's an argument that Man United isn't a good ground for attackers, young attackers, to go and flourish and thrive, because you don't really have a settled midfield. You don't have, you know, pure creativity in the middle, which can, you know, feed a lot of these strikers' chances. I know you said they had a lot of chances today, but if I'm a striker and I'm turning around and I see Bruno's behind me and I'm looking to my left and it's Rashford, who just likes to run around and shoot like it's a Nike advert, I wouldn't be very confident that I'm going to develop in this environment. So it's like, as a striker, would you even want to go to Man United? I'm hearing Xerxes looking to go back to Italy. You know, I just don't think as an environment, and I'd say this, I think you guys haven't had a really top striker since Ronaldo and Cavani. And what's the difference in those two? They've done it all. They're experienced. They're really old. They don't have to develop. They already have the game that they've brought to Man United. I can do this, and that. They're the finished product. Yeah. You're bringing, you know, sort of like project strikers through to the Man United first team, and this isn't the environment for that to flourish, I don't think, in my opinion.
I agree. I think coming to United now is a graveyard shift.
It might
just
be
for attackers. I think for anywhere across the pitch, there's so many problems internally, and I don't know where to go to fix.
So what about the manager then? Like, let's
what, Ten Hag?
The elephant in the room. Ten Hag. Like, what are you saying?
Today, it has to be him. We have to blame him again today. But I blame the players more than actually what I've seen from the manager today. We had so many chances. Again, I'll reiterate, we had so many chances in that first half. But I believe all in all, he's done. Like, done. Yeah, he's done.
Would you sack him? Like,
yeah, I would sack him now. I just feel like I've seen the transformation from Barcelona last year when they had Xavi, who's a decent manager within his own right. Yeah. You see the transition between that and Flick and the style of play, what Flick has been able to do in one pre-season and a few tweaks in the system. Barcelona are top of their league, smacking Real Madrid up 4-0 away. That in itself is crazy. I think that United, and we just touched on it, I've seen these players perform before. Why are they not performing now? We have to blame the manager. And because of that, we're 14th.
14th, bro.
After game week 9. Game week 9.
It's November, going to November, 14th in the league. That is sackable.
It is a sackable offence. And that's why I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I don't hold it against anyone that wants him sacked. Me, right now, I want him gone just because being 14th is absolutely mental.
That's mental, man.
Three places away from relegation. I don't think United fans are understanding the current climate of the club. I feel like we want it to work so badly. Well, some United fans want it to work so badly that we're sort of allowing things to slide that we wouldn't normally.
So what's the argument for him staying? Is it because he's shown you he's won trophies, so it's the hope that he can get through this bad run of form and get you back on the road to trophies? Because I don't see any system that he's implemented. I don't see a style of play after all these years he's been there. The transfer policy has been quite hit and miss, mostly miss. Mm-hmm. I just don't see a clear theme of what he's been trying to do since he's joined.
So initially for me, it was I can't be bothered to go through a whole new transition again when I don't know what's going to happen. But then we need to take risks. How can I say that when I don't know what is coming? Somebody could come in and immediately change the climate of the club, and we could turn into something decent again and then work towards progressing. We're not even aiming for top 4 right now. What are we aiming? We're aiming for top 10. We're 14th. Like, I don't think United fans are understanding we're 14th. We're not even aiming for top 4. We are aiming for Europa League spots. That is how far we've fallen, and that in itself is sackable.
That's I hear you there.
So yeah. Let's move on from United. My rant's over from United. Chelsea and Newcastle. That was another decent game that we saw today. Palmer's just sensational, isn't he?
He's just pulling strings. Like the pass he gave to Neto for that first goal was world class. It was out of this world. Like he's the guy that when he's confident, he feels he has the responsibility. He can run the attack. He's just unplayable on his day. Like I know against Liverpool, he had a quite quiet afternoon, and that was a big game as well. So it's quite disappointing for him. Mm-hmm. But when he's in the mood and he's carrying that attack, he genuinely is one of the better playmakers in the world as well. In terms of he's been good at goal scoring, but in terms of his playmaking as well, just running the attack, he's improved it really, really a lot. And I feel like the passing range is something that a lot of people didn't really realize was there. But some of the passes he's put in today were really, really incredible. Palmer
for me is a throwback to the traditional 10. the way that he controls and dictates the game is unbelievable. For the first goal, the pass to Neto, as you said, is world class. He does it. It's his speed of thought that's unbelievable to me. So he's picked up the ball, one look up, bang, like he's immediately, and he's put it in the corridor of uncertainty where Livramento has no chance of getting that ball. It's bounced behind him and directly into the path of Neto. So his understanding of like the weight of pass, firstly, but then also understanding of his teammate. He understands he knows how fast Neto is, and he's going to get to that ball in that time. It's genius to me. Like
it's genuinely genius.
Yeah, he's touching unreal. He might touch unreal levels, and we might have to start having uncomfortable conversations about Palmer soon. Because the way he runs a game is crazy.
The way he runs a game, I mean, you'd see Fabregas making a pass like that in his prime. Like, if he becomes an elite passer in addition to his attacking output, as you say, there's going to be conversations with Palmer with some of the best players in the world. Like, the sky is the limit for this kid. If he stays at Chelsea, I feel like Chelsea's a good environment for him because they're not that great. So they make him do everything, really. And he has the responsibilities. He has all the responsibility. And that can only help you as a player to grow. I feel like if he was at Man City, he wouldn't have been able to develop in the way he has. So I think Chelsea's a good environment for him. And I feel like, he's just going to keep getting better and better because, I mean, like you said, there's no limit to what this guy can do at the moment, it seems.
Yeah, it's frightening.
I mean, Chelsea in general, I don't know if top four is realistic for them. Well, it's realistic, but I don't know if top four is for them this season, but you can see that they are starting to click things together. Maresca's got them playing good football. Yes. They are starting to build something. Something's going on there. It seems a bit different to when it was Pochettino or Potter. It seems like they've kind of stumbled across a manager who at least knows the direction of travel. I saw some quotes early in the week where he said he doesn't know if like Reece James is captain material. Like he has seen the mentality. That's really bold, you know.
Bold,
like that's what we were. That's what I was seeing from Arteta when he first joined. He wasn't afraid to say things that might upset some people, whether it's players or fans. He was there saying, this is what I want to do in this team. If I have to rip everything up, so be it. And it seems like Maresca's got a bit of that in him. Yeah. So those are good signs, I think, as well for Chelsea fans. That you've got a manager that's willing to say uncomfortable things if he feels like they should be called up.
I agree, and it's very ruthless, and I think it's an excellent style of management.
Yeah.
If somebody's not cutting it or is not the standard that they need to be removed from the club.
I mean, Ten Hag had that with Sancho, but
he did. But again, circumstances, we don't know the ins and outs. Even me now, I'm starting to question that whole saga now because I've seen midweek, for example, he's brought on Anthony instead of Ahmad. I think Ahmad arguably has been our best player this season. I think he had one poor game, and he's been dropped since. We've been seeing him get scrub minutes ever since then, and he started bringing Anthony back. Why is Anthony starting over Ahmad, who's arguably been our best player this season? So that kind of favoritism there as well. That's something that we need to question as United fans. Like what's really going on there? Because all of us can see it. We've watched Ahmad play. It's quite similar to Tottenham. Tottenham have seen Mikey Moore play. They don't want to see Werner again. I saw Ahmad play. I don't want to see Anthony again. Like, I don't want to see my man playing again. It don't make no sense. What do you think of Newcastle today? Newcastle in the Chelsea game. So
yeah, Newcastle, they did all right today. I think they had some chances. I don't know what Isak was doing when he had the 1v1. He tried to do step over. That was crazy. But I think Newcastle were in the game at least for the whole 90 minutes. But I'm looking at the back four they've put out. They've got a lot of injuries in their defence, and that defence is not good enough to contain teams like Chelsea. I feel like you're asking a lot from their attacking players. They're going to have to score at least twice a game if you want to get results in these sort of matches. But I mean, similarly, Isak, I saw a stat that his shot conversion rate this season has been really poor. I think it was as low as about 5%. That's really bad. He's scored only twice this season in the league. I know he's had his fitness issues over the years, but he needs to up those numbers if Newcastle want to get anywhere near the top four. I feel like Barnes needs to chip in more numbers. If they want to get anywhere near the top four, and they need goals from midfield as well. I feel like Newcastle, there's just something missing. The spark has kind of gone from a few years ago when they were really challenging near the top of the league, and I don't know. I wouldn't say the project's dead or that the project's over or anything like that, but they need to go back to the drawing board and just think about recruitment again. Like, who can we get to get us back up the table? Because right now, Chelsea's better than them. Villa's come over them, but they're better than them. Tottenham look like they're gonna, overtake them as well. So there's something to be worried about if you're Newcastle. That the promise that you showed a few years ago that you'd be a top four mainstay for many years may not materialise unless something drastic happens right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the final topic that I want to talk about in terms of Chelsea is Nicholas Jackson's turnaround. I feel like he deserves his props. We need to give him his flowers. What do you think about Jackson, his overall play, how he's developed in terms of his finishing?
He's developing, He's developing. Like, I mean, when he first joined, like, he's very rough. He's very, like, erratic. Like, You know, some of the touches weren't great, some of the finishing was quite poor. But he is definitely looks like he's improved on his game. He's worked on his game in the time he's been here. He's a better finisher than he was when he first joined. His movement's always been really good, and he's always been pretty good at linking play as well. Yeah. But he's scoring goals in big matches. Like he scored at Anfield last week, and I was like, oh, okay. You know, he's scored in the biggest of matches. He's getting involved. He's not, you know, a passenger in these games. He's involved in the attack. He's someone that likes to take the ball in the attacking third and try and create chances for himself as well. He's not a shy striker, and I like strikers that realize that they're strikers. Like, it's my job to score, so I'm going to try and, you know, score every time. I'm trying to shoot all the time, and it's quite refreshing. So I feel like he's improved his game. People are saying, can he be a 20-goal-a-season striker in the Premier League? I feel like 20. I've always said 20 goals is a hallmark if you're really like top striker. If you can you get 20 goals in the Premier League, the hardest league in the world? Maybe not 20, but he can get you a good 15 to 17, and if Palmer's getting you, you know, 15 to 20, then you're fine. You don't really need to get the 20 if you've got a partner who's getting you that many goals as well. Yeah. But he's definitely improved his game. I don't know what you think about him as well, but like when he first joined, his reputation was like he's a bit rough, but he's really cultured his game in the last few years.
I think he's smoothened out a lot of the rough edges that he had near the start. What I like specifically about Jackson is he's got short-term memory, and it's something that you hear about. No, but it's a good thing. Oh, yeah. So he's got short-term memory in terms of, it's quite similar to Vinicius Jr. When Vinicius Jr. first started at Madrid, he'd take on his man over and over and over again. He didn't give a toss how many times he lost the ball. And it's crazy. It's very tapped, but that kind of mentality is what you need to succeed. You need to keep on trying these things over and over again, and eventually it will work. Jackson continues to get into the positions where he's going to score. He allows himself to be vulnerable. He runs all the channels. And as you said, his link-up play was always very good. And I think that's even gone up a level as well. Yeah. Today, what he did against Burn, I think one of the first actions he had against Dan Burn, ball's been popped into him. He's taken one touch, literally spun him around and driven into the space. Burn can't get anywhere near him. He's given a pass to Noni. I think Noni it didn't materialise to anything. But just that in itself, and in terms of his link-up play, I think he's improved so much. And then his finishing, which is the most important thing as a striker, you need to get goals, as you said. If he starts to convert chances, because he gets 3 or 4 chances a game. If he converts even one of out of those 3 or 4 chances a game, he will get 20 goals a season. Like, he is going to get to that mark.
So Chelsea don't need a striker, or you wouldn't buy a striker if you're Todd Bowley?
I'd buy a seasoned striker. I'd buy somebody that Jackson can learn the final few pieces of his game from. I wouldn't buy somebody else young. It doesn't make any sense. You've got Jackson there who's already refining his game. So yeah, I'd buy maybe an older striker. But yeah, not somebody young. Do you think Chelsea need a striker?
It depends what Chelsea are trying to do in the short term. So if Chelsea are saying, okay, next season we're going for the league title, I still have the last doubts about Jackson, like whether he can lead his team to the title, whether he can be at least a good sidekick to Palmer. If you want to be sure that, you know, Chelsea are challenging for the title, you would get that striker that would get you the 20 goals. I don't know who that would be in the market, but there are a few strikers now, you know, like Gyökeres or, you know, Duran. There's strikers out there, Isak, even in the market that you could say this guy is better than Jackson in terms of they're more goal hungry, they're more likely to get goals. Jackson offers a lot of things outside of the goal scoring, but I feel like for where Chelsea are trying to gradually get to the top. I don't think they need to replace the striker at the moment. There are other priorities. Defensively, I think there's some defensive issues there still. Goalkeeper, they need to replace the goalkeeper as well. So I think before Jackson gets replaced, there's some things they need to deal with first.
Okay, that's interesting. Then we might as well double back since we're talking about what you guys need. Well, Chelsea need. What do you think Arsenal need in terms of finishing, like the final piece of the product? Because I feel like Arsenal are so close in terms of getting to where they need to win the league. What is it that you guys need?
I've heard that for 10 years, bro. I'll be real. Bro, 10 years ago, we were one striker away from winning the title. Like, get Giroud out, get someone in Higuain, you know, this and that. And then, you know, last season, we were like, how far are we? Are we a killer 9 away from winning the league? I actually think we're further back than last season, because I feel like we might even need 2 signings to win the league. Wow. It's looking like, I don't want to say this too early, and Mourinho scored, bless him, today, innit? But we might have boxed the CM signing, because when Odegaard's not on the pitch, the creativity level just drops. Yep. And it's like, we're looking to this kid, Waneri, to come in and be the creative spark. Is he ready to do that? Maybe, but like, you'd want a more experienced creative player. I feel like in the summer, there was an opportunity to get that kind of centre mid, and we didn't do it. Yeah. I think we need a left winger, and I said this on the pod a few months ago. Yes. Marcelli's had a little bit of form, but I mean, again, today, the goal that Salah scored came from Marcelli just losing the ball up top. Yep. Last week against Bournemouth at 0-0, even though we got 10 men, Marcelli has a chance to score 1v1, he misses. I feel like we need a winger who's he's gonna give me confidence. They're gonna score. They're gonna score and get assists. They're gonna take on their man. They're gonna put fear into defenders because Saka does it on one side. We don't have a striker who's putting fear into defenders. Even though Havertz is a nice striker, like he's calm, like he wins his duels, he gets his goals. He's okay. I'm not too mad at Havertz for now. But if you can't get a killer number 9, you need a killer winger. You need 2 attackers that are gonna contribute enough to get you wins and get you titles. Because at the moment we don't have that. We only have one.
I agree. And if you look at the difference between Arsenal and Liverpool even today, I was saying this in the group chat as well, but Liverpool got their killer one chance and he took it. That's literally the difference between Liverpool and Arsenal right now. Their core in terms of who they've got still got Van Dijk, who contributed with a goal today, funnily enough. But then they've got Salah, who 9 times out of 10 he's putting the ball in the corner. Facts. If he gets a chance, he's putting the ball in the corner. And you spoke about, I think it was last week, it was against Bournemouth that Martinelli had that chance. Yeah. Salah is scoring that.
Salah is scoring that chance, 100%.
Salah is scoring that, and that is the difference between Liverpool and Arsenal in terms of Liverpool have the killer and like Arsenal, unfortunately.
As an attacker, you need to know when you get a chance in a game, particularly away, this might be your only chance in the match. Treat it like it's your only chance and score.
Yeah.
Not, I'll get another one or, I'll get 2 more. Salah only had one clear-cut chance today and 2-2 scored. That's what a killer attacker does, and that's what Arsenal still don't have at the moment. So I feel like we need that. We still need that.
I agree. All right, well, let's move on to the match roundup now. There was other games in the Premier League.
Many late goals, so many turnarounds. It's crazy.
There was some excellent fixtures this weekend in the Premier League. Let's start with Brentford and Ipswich. That one ended 4-3. And Mbeumo again, I keep seeing on Twitter and stuff, man, I'm saying if he had a skin fade, he'd be somewhere else. But bro, that guy, Mbeumo is he's proven to me that he's of the level. I think he can move to a bigger team and make a difference.
What kind of team do you think?
I think he could move to Arsenal and make a difference.
And
starting might be difficult, but in terms of being adding about 10 to 15 goals a season, he's already. I don't know if you know how many goals he's on this year, but he's on a good amount. I even want to check what.
I think he's like second top scorer or something like that. Like they don't miss Tony at all, fam.
Not at all.
Because like when Tony left, you're thinking where the goals gonna come from. But in Mbeumo and Wissa, they're like, we've got this. Like we know how to score goals as well. We know how to run the attack, take pens, all of that. And in Mbeumo, he's really stepped into that shadow. Like, but he's too young to be bold like that, though.
He's 24. Yeah, no, it's a bit concerning.
Bro, like Turkey, go Turkey, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Fix that thing. But you're cold, though. You're cold. I like you.
But that was an excellent game to watch. I think Brentford. There was a point where Brentford were down 2. I think it was 2-0.
Yeah.
So Ipswich actually came out and played.
What do you think about Ipswich?
I think they're
in every game they play. They're in. They scored at Etihad. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's just unfortunate. They just haven't got the quality to sustain the level of play throughout 90 minutes. I think that's what the problem is with Ipswich. They're actually not too bad.
Yeah.
Like, I look at Leicester, for example, and I actually think Leicester aren't that good. Like, Leicester are not good. Whenever I watch Leicester, I'm quite concerned that they're going to leak goals. Yeah. But when I watch like Ipswich, as you said, are more than like they're in games. I think it's just unfortunate. They just don't have the quality to sustain that level of performance over the 90 minutes, which is, it is what it is.
What do you think about, I saw an article earlier this week, there's like, Ipswich aren't happy with Calvin Phillips. Like, they may send him back. They may terminate his loan if he doesn't, like, improve his level. Like, bro, this is Southgate's #1 guy. Like 4 or 5 years ago, he can't get him out of the England team. Yeah. Like, what has happened to Calvin Phillips these last few years?
Something is happening there. I don't know. It has to be. It's definitely a mental thing. It can't be football related because I've seen him, Calvin Phillips, run games for a Leeds team that play man for man. Yeah, that's crazy. Like he's literally running all over the pitch, but he still has the quality when he gets onto the ball to spray a 50-yard or 60-yard ping across the pitch. So he's definitely got the quality. We can't question that. Oh. It's something. Something's gone wrong. I think the move to Manchester City was just. It was bad for him. He never got a chance there. I don't know what that would do to someone's confidence, but he just hasn't kicked on even from then.
You think he's forgotten how to play?
I think he's done. If your contract is being threatened to be terminated at Ipswich, then you're nicked.
Long day for you.
It's long. The next game we can talk about is Wolves and Brighton. That one ended 2-2 again. Another late winner. Well, not even a winner. Sorry, late equaliser. What did you think of the game, all in all?
Yeah, Welbeck, I don't know what's gotten into him, but he don't normally score goals at this clip. Like, he's scoring goals this season. Like, I heard somewhere he's never scored 10 Prem in a season. Like, really? And I feel like he's on course to kind of do that this year. So this is statistically his best year, and he's like 50 years old. It's crazy. But I feel like Brighton had that game patterned, and they just allowed Wolves back into the game. I saw the last chance of the game. Brighton were 2-1 up, and it's a 4v1 at the back.
sack him.
I can't believe they've botched that 4v1, and then what happens at the end? Wolves go and score. Like, you'd be tearing your hair out if you're a Brighton fan.
It's a criminal offence. I think 2v1 is you should be scoring.
You should be patterning.
4v1 and you chose the only area where the defender was.
You chose the one. Like.
The one area where the defender is. They've gone up the other end and scored immediately from that. That individual, I don't even know who did that, but he should be paying everybody's wages in the club.
Bro, I'll be scrapping him on the pitch. Like, honestly.
That's crazy. And of course, we have to talk about Manchester City. I don't really want to, but they won again 1-0 on the weekend. They beat Southampton. I was expecting them to absolutely demolish Southampton.
What do you think about City? Because they're not demolishing teams anymore.
I don't think City have clicked into gear yet. As you mentioned earlier, they haven't got De Bruyne yet back properly and fit in the team. They haven't got Rodri right now, which I think is the biggest. It definitely is the biggest miss for them. They look so different with and without Rodri. It's crazy. They don't control games as much as they used to. They actually concede chances. Again, if certain players were able to finish, Southampton might have been able to get something from that game. But yeah, City aren't really demolishing teams and picking them apart the way that we're used to seeing it. And I think if there was ever a season where Arsenal need to actually pattern and, you get me, show some initiative, it would be now. And I think City won't have what it takes to bring it back because Rodri's too big of a miss. Yeah,
I feel like it's a situation where if City were trailing a team by like 5 points, it's a question of would they be able to go on that run that they usually go on? Because we're all expecting them. I think we're all expecting them from like December, January to just go on some 12, 14 match winning run.
No losses.
So exactly. They'll just win all those games. Like we could just write it off now. But the question is always going to be at the end of that run, how many points behind the leaders are there? And if it's still like 5 or 6 points, then you'd be like, okay, we're cool. Like we're safe. Like we could probably win the league this year. But if you're trailing City and they go on that run, are you going to be able to keep up with them? And that's the question that we need to answer.
And I think that's the problem that I have specifically with today's result. I would have preferred it if either Liverpool or Arsenal won.
I hear it, yeah.
Because I feel like the draw is now obsolete. I remember when I was a kid, and I think when Mourinho first came into the league, and he moved to my manager, Fergie, like he moved to him. Like Chelsea were dominant in every aspect of the game, and they won so many games. They picked up so many points. I think it was then that I saw that getting a draw in certain title races is not enough. You have to win the majority of your games. Similarly, Pep has taken that standard of Mourinho and multiplied that by 10. City hardly lose any games.
Yeah.
And even when Liverpool challenged City to win the league, and when they did win the league, the margin for error was minimal.
Yeah.
Drawing now is equivalent to a loss to me. So I would have preferred it if one of the teams won today.
I understand what you're saying. Like when you're starting a league season and you're immediately looking at, did City win today? How many points are they on? How many points behind? It's not healthy, bro. Yeah. It's honestly not healthy. Like, yeah, and you're right. When you drop points, it feels like a defeat because City won't lose too many games per season, and they're still unbeaten right now. Yeah, that's why we were 2-1 up. 10 men, sure, but like with like 10 seconds to go, 20 seconds to go. If we held on, who knows? The season will be looking at it quite differently. But that's what happens in football.
It's fine margins, unfortunately, but yeah. Our bonus topic for today, though, El Classico.
Right.
This was a mad thing. Barcelona won 4-0 at the Bernabeu. Why are Barca so good? That's the first question.
Yeah, it's Flick, bro. Flick has done something in changing that team, the way they play. Xavi won a league title with Barca, so he deserves credit for what he's done. He deserves respect. But by the end of his tenure, it was getting a bit stale. And Real Madrid, they won the league convincingly last season. But something has happened where Flick's taken over. He's addressed the problems. He knows where they need to address key issues in terms of building up play, the pressing structure. And watching the match, Real Madrid looks completely off it, especially in midfield, especially in the second half when Frankie de Jong came on. He changed the game completely. And I feel like Flick's got the front three firing. We can't say anything about that. What he's done with Rafinha is incredible. I couldn't believe it. I didn't expect Rafinha to be this good. Like, he's the captain as well. Like, he's marshalling that attack. Like, he runs the attack. Even like we saw against Bayern Munich, like they've dealt with Bayern Munich convincingly the other day as well. Lewandowski looks like the old Lewandowski. I think it's 14 goals this season already. Like, man's moving cold. Yeah. And Lamine Yamal, like, I can't say enough about that guy. That guy is the guy right now.
You see, we throw around that generational word a lot. I feel like on social media, you see it very often. I've never seen anything like Lamine Yamal. Never before in my life. No. At 17 years old, everything he does is at an elite level already. His dribbling is elite. He can beat a man. He's very skillful. His weight of pass is what is the most shocking to me. He passes like he's a seasoned professional. He passes like he's been playing the game for 10 to 15 years already, like he's a seasoned vet. The assist that he had for Rafinha against Bayern Munich, we could talk about first, where he's taken one touch and he's popped it into him. Rafinha's taken that on his chest. the weight of pass there is so perfect. He's given Rafinha no choice but to put the ball in front of him and score.
Yeah.
I think he's operating at such a high level right now. If he has a one moment, a sort of Ankara Messi type moment, there's going to be crazy conversations had about him. No, honestly, there's going to be some mad conversations had about him because he's doing things that he shouldn't be doing. This is almost, in fact, I was going to say it's on par with what Rooney was doing when he was 16. It's better than what Rooney was doing at 16. He's playing every single game for arguably one of the best clubs in the best team in the world.
And he's done it in the Euros as well. He got that goal against France. He's won the Euros. It's like people forget he's 17. Like, I saw he's the youngest guy to score in El Clasico or something like that.
He is.
I was like, oh, swear. But he seems like we've known him. He's been around for years, but he's still 17 years old. Like, honestly, what he's doing at this age is incredible. And I feel like I dread to think what he's going to be like when he's even 22, 23. Like, he could be the best player in the world. Like, he could be winning Ballon d'Ors like every year.
No, he could. I don't even know what he needs in terms of maturing for his game. He does everything at such a good level already. I don't know what the next step is for him. I genuinely have no clue.
He plays like a grown man. Like, honestly,
he's an incredibly good player. But yeah, we'll talk about Madrid, and you said they looked off. I feel like Madrid are just in a sort of transitional period right now. I think their midfield specifically, you said their midfield was off. Modric and Kroos, obviously Kroos is gone completely, so they can't even rely on him anymore. But I just don't feel like Camavinga, Tchouaméni, I don't feel like they're of the level yet. And I think that's what's causing them a big issue. I know people want to talk about Mbappe, which we're going to get to next, but I feel like there's deeper issues in terms of that midfield is not cohesive enough, especially like for me right now. The way that Modric used to dictate games, and we could see it when Modric came on, there was a difference immediately. They might not have been fruitful. They didn't get anything out of the game. They still lost 4-0. But I just feel like Camavinga and Tchouaméni, they're good within their own right, but they still need time to develop. They're not yet of the level of Kroos and Modric, and I feel like they lost the midfield battle so badly. Like,
the midfield balance isn't quite right when Modric isn't on the pitch for me, because, like you said, those two, they're not creative. They're not mad creative midfielders. They're really good in what they do, and they're very good at progressing play as well in the middle third. But getting the ball into the final phase is the most important thing a creative midfielder can do, and they don't really have that at an elite level like Modric has. And Bellingham isn't that type of midfielder either. He's more an off-the-ball midfielder, but also, he's in the final third. He's trying to get the goals. He's trying to get the assists in the final third. But in terms of progressing play into the final third, that's not what he's there to do either. So it's like the balance of the midfield needs to be looked at by Ancelotti a bit. I don't know if they need to bring Goulet into the team more, give him more minutes to, be that new Modric. But I think there's something that needs to be done. That's something that needs to be addressed, definitely. But, I mean, we're going to talk about Mbappe, I guess, as well. So that also needs to be addressed.
Do you think that Real Madrid are worse with Mbappe?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And I'm being honest about this. And I'm not saying Real Madrid shouldn't have signed him.
Whoa.
But Real Madrid need to figure it out quickly, like how to use Mbappe. And I feel like, you know what, let me change that. Mbappe needs to figure out what kind of guy he wants to be in this team and how he wants to play and how he needs to work with Vinicius. I don't know who Mbappe thinks he is, or I don't know how good he thinks he is in comparison to the best players in the world. But this is Vinny's team, okay? So you need to understand what Vinny wants, and then you need to cater to him. Like, this isn't your team. Not only are you probably not the best player in the world and you probably won't win the Ballon d'Or, but you've just joined this team. You can't expect everybody to change the way they play to suit you. So you need to look at Vinny and say, okay, Vinny, you've done this for this team. You scored in 2 Champions League finals. You're the man. You're the main guy in this team. How can I help you? Obviously, Vinny's playing in this position, but Vinny's earned the right to be the left winger. So Mbappe as a striker, he needs to learn how to play properly with Bellingham, with Vinicius, with whether it's Rodrigo on the right or whoever it is. He needs to learn to stay on side. I mean, that's a basic. But like right now, it doesn't look cohesive up front. It looks like you've got everyone in the Real Madrid team that's doing what they normally do, and then Mbappe's just been stuck up there and it's left to figure it out. It reminds me of when Barca bought Ibra, where like, Ibra was still good and you're still scoring, but when you look at Messi and you looked at like Pedro or whoever it was, Villa, or whoever it was, Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, he just stood out like a sore thumb. Like this guy doesn't fit this attack, this phase of play, this team. It's very noticeable that this guy shouldn't be here. And it's looking like Mbappe needs to try and avoid that by figuring out his role in the attack. Does he need to give Vinny more touches? Does he need to, does he need to stay in the box? Does he need to make those runs into channels, or can other people do that? Can he change the way he's a striker? I feel sorry for him because he's not a 9. He's a left winger, really. He's a left forward. Like in the old school, probably play on left midfield or maybe like the left side of a front two. But he's up front by himself. So I feel sorry for him in that respect. But he needs to figure it out because this is a big investment from Real Madrid, and they don't like it when big signings go wrong. They really don't like it over there.
Yeah, I just feel like Real Madrid, in terms of buying Mbappe, I understand he's one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world, right? And from a talent perspective, he's still got ways to go. He can still improve. I just feel like Real Madrid should have used those funds in a different way.
Also, you think they shouldn't have signed him?
I don't think they needed him. So I said this when it happened. I feel like he needed them more than they needed him.
Okay.
So Madrid had just won. They just won the Champions League and the Liga, right?
Yeah.
They'd won the double. That's it. Did they win the double? I think they won the double. Even if they hadn't, I know they'd won the league before and they'd won the Champions League last year. You're joining the team that's just won the Champions League. How can you add, as you said, you're not the main man in this team. There's players there that have already turned up before you. And in terms of the Ballon d'Or ranking, we're going to see it when it comes out. But Vinny and Bellingham are probably higher than Mbappe in terms of that ranking because they've done it for the biggest team in the world. So you've come into this team now that doesn't necessarily need you because they've already proved they can win without you. What can you do to help this team?
Yeah.
I feel like Real Madrid should have used that money, the money that they've spent on Mbappe, to buy a seasoned professional midfielder, a centre midfielder that is going to teach Tchouaméni and Camavinga how to play the role properly and help those two develop. Because I feel like that's more of an issue. Like Real Madrid's midfield has been, there's a clear imbalance there. When Modric isn't playing, it's even worse. But I think no Toni Kroos, nobody dared to dictate the play to control the tempo. I think that's been a serious miss for them, especially this season. And I just feel like Real Madrid could have used those funds in a smarter way instead of buying Mbappe.
But I feel like that's what Real Madrid do, though. Whether it's the Galacticos or they just buy the best players in the world every year. Who's the best player in the world? Can we get him? So that's why they've gone and got Mbappe. But like you said, I agree with you. Like Real Madrid don't need Mbappe to win because they've won without him. Real Madrid would like Mbappe to to take them to the next level, wherever the next level is. But is there another level they can go to? Really? I mean, they've done everything you can do in a game. They've reached the highest mountain. It's for Mbappe to try to shape how he wants to make this Real Madrid career work. Otherwise, he could be gone in a few years' time. He might go back to France. Like honestly, that could happen.
Do you think it will work out eventually? Is the next question, because that's ultimately where this is going. Like, do you think Mbappe turns this around and will he get to the level that we expect him to get to at Madrid?
It depends whether you think Mbappe as a number 9 can figure out how to play the role properly. Okay. Whether he can figure out how to be up there with like Haaland and Kane and even Lewandowski at being a number 9, like a goal scorer 9. My fear for Mbappe is that because he had a really, really good start to his career from like age 16 to like up to now. The 2018 World Cup, he's won the World Cup. He burst onto the scene. He's done all these amazing things. He's got this move to Real Madrid. I don't want the middle of his career to be like the middle of Anelka's career, because Anelka had a similar start to his career. He didn't win the World Cup, but he burst onto the scene really well, got the move to Arsenal, scored loads of goals, went to Real Madrid. And then between like the age of like 24 and like say 30, he basically did nothing. He was at low clubs. He was at like Man City and Bolton and Fenerbahce and places like that. I'm not saying Mbappe will drop that down that much, but I don't want it to be where Mbappe's ego and his belief in himself that, he doesn't need to improve his game because of what he's done so far in his career means that he doesn't make the necessary requirements to be an effective 9, and he just flops at Real Madrid and he doesn't get the goals he needs because he's too good a talent to waste his talent. And I feel like he can get it together at 9. It's just like the environment isn't the best for him. Like I saw a tweet the other day that said Real Madrid should have signed Mbappe a few years ago, because at least then Vinicius wasn't the Vinicius of today, and you could have had an argument to play Mbappe in that position. And who knows what Mbappe would have been like if he had gone to Real Madrid and played on the left for all those years. He would have been a better player in my opinion. But he's missed the boat by a few years in that regard, and now Vinicius is so good, Mbappe has to learn basically a position he doesn't really want to play, which is difficult for him. So I mean, in answer to your question, I feel like he'll get it together, but he needs to learn. He needs to take it seriously, honestly. What about you? What do you think?
At this point, I look at Vinicius, and especially the last game, the Champions League game that I saw from this week, and we spoke about the level of attackers. Yeah. Mbappe, of course, contributed to that in the game where they came back against Dortmund. But I was watching Vinicius that game, and he was so clearly the best player on the pitch. It wasn't even wasn't a debate. No. Like, it wasn't even a contest in terms of who was the best player on the pitch. He went into complete takeover mode. And I just feel like you've been bought and you're supposed to be what Vinicius already is. So like, they can't be two of you. You can't coexist. But they're going to have to find a way to do it. So I think if any one manager can make it work, it's Carlo, because Ancelotti will play to the strengths of the best players in the team, which is what I think he's trying to do. He's trying to find a system to play to the strengths of all of the best players in the team. You even forget that Bellingham, who one of the top goal scorers last season, is almost not been thrown to the wayside, but he's also having to adapt because Mbappe is occupying a lot of the spaces.
So, like, formation-wise, like, what do you even do with all these players? Like, how do you fit them all in and let them play effectively?
It's almost impossible. It's very, very difficult. And I'm happy I'm not a gaffer, because that is a mad thing. Rodrigo, he got injured recently. How do you fit Rodrigo in? He's almost undroppable as well. When he's in form, he's unbelievable as well.
Because do you play the three up front, or do you play the wide strikers that they've been doing recently with Vinny and Mbappe? Honestly, I scratch my head, and I feel sorry for Bellingham as well, because his output is going to be severely affected by this as well.
Yeah.
Because there's times yesterday where he was basically playing right wing back, but he was on the right hand side, like away from goal, and that's not where he's at his best. He's at his best when he's close to the goal. He can link up with the attacking players and he can get goals for himself, and he's just not been doing that recently.
Yeah. I think it's going to be to the detriment of a few of the players, I think, initially, but eventually I think it will come good. I think we just need to give them some time to gel properly. I feel like once those good players understand each other properly, there's no way to stop them. It's a bit like when you have too many good players in that sense, they're too good to fail. Like, there's no way that they can't do well. So I think eventually Mbappe will be fine, but as for now, it's not looking good.
You think Barca win the league?
Yeah. I think they have a seasoned striker who's going to get them over 25 goals this year. Like, that is a fact. Lewandowski's getting them over 25 goals. Rafinha, who nobody in their right mind saw this trajectory from Leeds. If anybody's telling me from the Premier League, when you were seeing him play sometimes on the team sheet at right wing back at Leeds, that you saw that this guy would be this, you're lying. Like, his trajectory is unreal, and the way that he's taken that Barcelona team, he's taking it by the scruff of the neck, and he's almost dragging them. I can't believe he's captain even. You've got a generational talent in Yamal. You've got Pedri, who's coming back into form. He looked excellent on the weekend again.
He's amazing. One
of the reasons why Barcelona dominated that midfield is because Pedri was so good. And also De Jong. I feel like De Jong isn't being spoken about. De Jong came on in that second half, because it was 0-0 in the first half. De Jong came on in that second half and it was madness. Like, he changed the trajectory of that game. Yeah. It won't be spoken about, but he was unbelievable for that 45 minutes, and he's a lot of the reason why Barcelona went on to absolutely wreck Madrid.
I'll say that.
So Barca have got strength in depth, which is something that I didn't even think they had, because majority of their players are now academy products, which in itself is crazy to me.
Crazy. They've got so many La Masia players coming around as well, like the Casado guy, obviously Kubasi, a centre back. Like, they're doing it the right way. Like, they've got academy graduates, like you said, but they've added a sprinkle of experience, quality. I like it when teams mix youth and experience in the right way, in the right blend. So I'm rooting for Barcelona to win the league as well, and I think they'll do it as well. I wouldn't say it's over, because Real Madrid, they can go on a run of wins as well. But I feel like if Barca keep playing the way they're playing, they'll definitely win the league.
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, that's today. It was just me and Joel today, you know. But it was a good session. I'm happy with how it's turned out.
You get more done without arguing, and
yeah. When you ain't got some of the man them here just gassing in your ears.
Also, you're disappointed. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I'm disappointed every week at this point. Like,
who you got next week?
I have no idea. I don't know who. I don't know if I want anyone. I don't know if I want anyone next week.
But Man United, first of all, you need to win a game in the Europa League. Like, don't get knocked out of the Europa League, because that would be embarrassing. Like,
I don't think it'd be. We've already hit rock bottom. Where do we go? What's lower than what we're currently doing?
You think you can't get worse than this?
We've lost to West Ham. We're 14th. Like, there's no lower than this.
No, you lot are funny. Like,
so we got Leicester in the
the League Cup.
In the League Cup next week.
Don't lose that game, bro.
You see that one though? I was just gassing about Leicester as well, saying that they're really bad. If we lose against Leicester,
he's done.
I think he's already done. I think he's already nicked. But you get me. Some United fans still want to back him. But yeah, we can't lose against Leicester. I hope that will be the last straw for some people. I can't be sure. Who have Arsenal got next?
I think we got Preston in the League Cup.
Preston,
and then we got Newcastle.
Then Newcastle, home or away?
Away. Our next two league games are away. Newcastle away, Chelsea away.
Jesus.
And we kind of need to get 6 out of 6.
Yeah, you need 6 out of 6.
Newcastle, I'm okay about. They're not too good. They're not as good as they used to be. But St James is a difficult place to go to anyway. Yeah. So I mean, hopefully Saka's 100%. Hopefully Timber came off injured. Gabriel came off injured. So, like, are they okay? Like, if they're okay, then fine. Odegaard needs to get back.
Yeah, that's what you need.
We're a different team when he plays.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, no, that was a nice way to end off the Rondo. You get me? It's your boy Rahimi again.
Cool. It's your boy Joe as well.
Thank you. See you next time.
Boosh.